Oh, it's all.
Did it say stop recording?
Good morning. Meeting of the Brooks Academy Museum Commission is called to order. If there's anyone here who is planning or starting to do any electronic recording, please notify us that that is happening. All right. Do we have any public comments? No. None? Then we'll move on. The minutes of April 24th, has everybody had a chance to scan them? Hey, is there any changes or additions, anything needed?
Good to me.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion to approve and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Now, I do... Janet, would you mind taking the minutes for this?
Sure. I mean, no, I wouldn't mind.
We'll discuss why under new business.
Yeah.
Old business. We have two things that were tabled last time, just so that people could have a chance to think and give Paul a chance to discuss a little bit more. Let's start with the garden club proposal. Did you have anything, ladies, that you wanted to add to what you proposed last time?
I don't think so. I think we're happy to answer any questions, and if we're far enough out that you can consider that a general
Right.
guideline. I think what we're looking for is just your agreement that moving forward, the garden club can, work in the gardens and work with you on final proposal.
Okay. Ladies, do you have any questions, any concerns?
Other than to say thank you for a wonderful proposal and
Yes.
looking forward to seeing all of that in combination with Paul's work. It's going to be amazing. I just
Yeah.
wish it was happening sooner.
We do now, tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Ladies, we'll be working with you soon.
Thank you. And then
Clarifying
here's
what were we?
Oh,
Moving on.
accepting the Houston Garden Club's proposal for
Beautification.
beautification of the property after the construction has been completed.
And can we also say, and irrigation is in?
And irrigation is
Because
good.
the garden club won't do the work unless the irrigation is working.
Do we need to retake that vote?
That was part of the motion,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay. Paul?
Okay, thanks, Madam Chairman. I appreciate very much the opportunity to be here this morning and talk a little bit about the proposal. When we started this out, almost 4 years ago now, the end of 2020 actually, I at that time presented a plan to the then chairman and the committee and received the support of the committee, and I'm very pleased to have had that support throughout this process. Certainly the guidance of David Spitz at the time was critical in terms of moving ahead with the proposal. At that time, I kind of estimated that the project cost would be around $35,000. And the plan was to sort of do the proposal in about 3 years, 3 phases over that period. And that's basically what has transpired. We've spent around $35,000 to date to do the work that's been done up there, and there's some ongoing maintenance which we continue to support financially. I would also say that I thank Bobby Parr for stepping in and helping me on the maintenance up there. I spend a lot of time there weeding and mowing and everything else, and having an associate up there, I'm very pleased to have that. It reduces the time period and the commitment, and as I get older, it's becoming more of an ordeal to maintain the property. But anyway, so the first phase, just as a little review, the first phase included basically the installation of an irrigation system, the seeding of the property, and of course the irrigation unit that was put in, and then the three trees. We put a beech tree, a linden tree, and a sweet gum. The trees were covered by the Historical Society, which provided funds from the Bethia Payne Fund to support the purchase of the trees. My plan originally was to try to raise money for the rest of the costs, but it proved easier to me to just pay for it. I tried to get some, and we probably raised about $1,500 in terms of individuals who were interested in supporting the effort. But for the most part, I've been more than happy to cover the costs of both the work that's been done and the ongoing costs to maintain the systems and so forth. So the first phase was basically the irrigation, the trees, and the plantings. I also put in a small bush sort of garden that runs along Parallel Street. The second phase that I had in mind was to install some sort of perimeter fencing. And I had hoped at some point to have some support to place a outdoor theater of some sorts. I envisioned seating along the staggered sort of seating along the hillside there, and a little speaker's platform or whatever where the society or anything the town agencies or committees could use for evening programs, presentations, and so forth. The town doesn't really have outside lecture capability, and I think it would be an attraction. And it's a good location there, centrally located, of course, but also just the natural setting there allows for that kind of setup. But at this point, there hasn't been the type of endorsement, I would say, that I would need to go ahead and propose something that phase. So the second phase basically consisted of the installation of the perimeter fencing, and at the time, David Spitz had some idea about revising the front part of the parking area. And so I didn't proceed until it was determined what was going to be happening to that front section in terms of having the perimeter fence continue in that portion. But we did go ahead with the second part of that second phase, which was the installation of the brick walkway to the museum. And now I'm in sort of the third phase, which is three parts to the proposal. One is to complete the perimeter fencing, a split rail fence across the front of the property there, which would run about 25 feet to the left of the walkway and 50 feet to the right of the existing brick walkway in front of the Kroll Barn Museum. I have bids for that, and the people that did the original installation, ProFence, again, have given me a very generously reduced cost to install the remaining part of the fencing, and that funding is available through a gift that's in an existing town account that I had given to the town last year. We only used a portion of it because, as I say, we only did part of the fencing. So that's step one, and that's pending approval of the commission here, of course. But also the work schedule of ProFence, it was better for them to do it more into June than, so anyway, if we have your approval, I would expect that work to be done in June. Second thought I had was, as part of this proposal, was to put one more tree on the property. I have photos here, which I don't need to show you folks who know the property well, but one thing was that Google map of the property prior to the so-called tornado of 2019, the Google map of the property, totally, the canopy of the trees that were there totally covered the property. You could not tell that there was any type of a building on the property from the air because of the tremendous amount of trees and coverage that was provided there. When I used to serve as a docent for the Crow Barn, it was torture for people to be in that building with no trees on it. The shade that helped cool the property were totally gone as a result of the tornado. And that was one of the reasons why, not only for a beautification standpoint, but to get some shading, because there's no way to properly get air flowing through the building. All the openings, basically, from to the building are on the same side of the property. So there's no way for cross ventilation, and of course the idea of cooling or whatever is pretty limited in that historic structure. So my thought was that if we could, over time, restore some of the trees that were lost. So we put 3 trees up, but there's certainly room for additional trees, and not to try to get too carried away, but I thought one tree, another sweet gum located along Forest Street at the back of the building, would complement the property. There's room for that. I've checked with the Johnson Tree people, and they have a sweet gum available, and I've kind of kept them at bay, again, until we get the approval, but that's the second part of this proposal. And the third part of the proposal was to also try to, along the lines of some beautification there and keeping in with the native nature of the community and plantings and so forth, was to think about putting in some sort of decorative piece along the front of the building. I originally had in mind something that would be a bed along the brick walkway, but with the great help of my good friends from the Garden Club, who have been just spectacular in terms of stepping up and offering their assistance, which I'm very grateful for. The plan is to that they've come up with the assistance of an individual that's joined the club and has had some deep experience in native grasses and native flowers, but also historic structures, is to along the front split rail fence proposed by the parking area, both on both sides of the fence, both sides of the brick walkway, 25 feet on one side and 50 feet on the other, to place some lavender plants along the base of the split rail fence, so that the maintenance aspect would be minimized. Native type plantings are only the ones that are being proposed, lavender. The lavender farm, Cynthia Sutphin has offered to give us the plants. The garden club has recommended that we'd need about, I think it was 75 or so plants along there. But more substantial than I thought would be needed. But, and I do have a rendition of that proposal from the garden club. If I can put my hands on it here somewhere. Oh, here we go. So it's a total of 35 and 70, actually 100. So this here represents sort of the rendition that was emailed to me. This is the walkway here. This is the Crow Barn area here. Parking is out front. Split rail fence would run along the front of the parking area, and the lavender would be underneath the...
Paul, don't go away. Oh.
So here is,
Yeah, I'm still not. Where's the street and where's the?
The street's over here.
This is between us and the Brooks Academy and the Crowell
Okay,
Barn.
so where
Yeah,
the
it's on
academy
the
This
edge
is
of the
the
This is
parking
the
lot.
parking
yeah.
lot. Okay, got it.
yeah, well, this was just the proposal from Pro Fence, but I did draw everything else that I can find if you need it. But basically, it's just the same fencing that's around the back would go in the front, and then the lavender plants below it. Now, one other thing they've suggested, which is kind of an optional item, but would add to the attractiveness, is they've suggested a climbing rose or something that might be placed underneath this Kroll Barn
The sign.
sign out front.
Where would the tree go?
The tree goes in the back of the
Behind.
property. Let me see.
On Forest Street, Paul?
Behind, on Forest Street, there's a sweet gum tree right behind.
There's a couple of
The,
things along here now
Right.
too, right? Yeah.
I've got too many papers. Nope. Well, oh, maybe this is it.
By the stop sign?
Well, here's the, this was the revision I did for the split rail fence. But there's a sweet gum here
Yeah,
at the back
okay.
of the
That's what
property
I
on
remember.
Forest Street, and it would go in this area here. So the two sweet gums.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not clear on what you said about a natural
Brenda, would
theater
you like to
that
come
could
up?
be used for outdoor talks. Are you talking about the dip in the
Yes,
land over
Yeah.
The
here?
low area.
Okay.
I had,
So, just so that folks out here can see,
I'm
the
still
tree
hopeful
is
of
being
doing that,
proposed behind,
I understand
Goodbye.
there's some.
in line with the sweet gum that's over there in the corner.
Corner or front?
Corner
Stop
of,
sign?
yes,
Okay, so there's-
yes.
This is kind of my original plan with the different phases. But it would go down in this area. this is the barn here,
Right.
and the seating would be on the hill here, and the little platform down there.
Right. Let's just tackle it one
But
section at a
that's,
time.
I'm not suggesting that today.
Also, we'd
Oh,
have to
okay,
look,
so we don't have to worry about that
no, we
today.
don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. And we'd also have to look at things like drainage and
Yeah,
letting, because that is a low
You might
area.
want to try to approve some of these things subject to other things, only because
Right,
depending on how quickly this board is filled up, you may not have a quorum for a while.
right.
Excuse me, we can't hear you back.
Let's just deal
Excuse
with
me,
this
we can't
part
hear you
first.
back here.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Want to say that again?
I said that we might want to approve this subject to worrying about drainage and other issues, because depending on how quickly this board is repopulated, there may not be a quorum for a while.
Well, I think we need to break this down into smaller pieces and
Right.
just, approve it in sections.
Right.
And we can
Wyatt,
probably,
let's just deal with his initial proposal, which is the fencing the plants and the trees.
I move that we support that plan.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in flavor.
Any opposed? Oh, yes, question.
Just a question or a comment. So it gets captured. Just a comment, Paul, to make two things. One is to make sure that the fence doesn't too much go into the brick walkway, because we bring things up and down that walkway, and I wouldn't want to be constrained, as we're bringing something. And the other one is, how far back from the parking lot pavement is the fence? And I'm only thinking in terms of, there's all these nice plantings, and we plow snow and it goes.
Well,
Those are my only
that's-
two comments.
Thanks for that, and it certainly has been identified as an issue to be concerned about. So the plan at this point is for the bed, let's say, that the rails will fit in, the split rail fence, will be about 1 to 18 inches from the existing paved parking. And then you've got the bed that will be about 3 feet, 4 feet wide, right? And the split rail fence will go in the middle of that fence. So it would be about 3 feet. The split rail fence physically would be not less than 3 feet from the existing paved parking. As far as the entrance, there's plenty of width. We're not getting the poles anywhere near. And one thing I'm going to have to do, which is a sort of an additional cost a little bit here, is to revise. There's a string of irrigation sprays that are run along the pavement. And because lavender, I've been advised, don't like to have the water sprayed on them, so I'll have to have those two lines moved inland so that they'll be on the sort of west side of the bed that runs along with the flowers in it. So there'll be some further cost for relocating that line, but as far as the entrance area there, I'd say there's probably at least 2 feet on each side of the brick walk before the first post goes in.
Thank you.
So just to clarify, you're saying that the irrigation will be moved to in between the building and the fence?
No, what was it? Where
The
the-
irrigation will be moved?
Oh, irrigation will be, correct. It'll be on the west side of the garden so that the spray will go to the grass, but not onto a bed.
Okay. Yes.
Do we know, has the irrigation been turned on out here yet?
Is the,
Is the irrigation on and
Oh,
functioning
yes, yeah.
now?
well, there's two irrigation sort of sites. One is right by the entrance to the back of the Brooks Academy, and one is up near the Kroll Barn on Parallel Street there. And the irrigation system for the Kroll Barn runs from that turn-on and valve control is located right near the Kroll Barn. The irrigation for the Brooks Academy building, or the exterior sites of the building, around the building, is the next manhole down toward Sisson Road.
So they're separate.
They're separate.
Is the one around the building operational?
They've turned it off indefinitely.
Yes.
Because of leaks that they
Yeah,
haven't taken the time to find.
Yeah, and it will stay off until after the construction is finished because of machinery and other things.
So how are you folks going to,
We're not going to plant anything new.
so whatever happens out there happens for the time being?
Well, we'll tidy it, keep it tidy, and do what we can, but we're not going to do any foundation planting.
Got it, yeah.
Is there there's a water barrel that you're using there?
Well, last summer there was a water barrel. It was put down where the wall is back, the upper wall. And we would stick a bucket and stuff like that. You can't really have a lot of work going on there with that kind of operation.
But you already have a lot of plantings and work that you've done out there, so if we have a hot, dry summer, basically that's just all gonna,
We'll be there with a bucket,
They'll be lugging.
lugging it all over the place.
doesn't sound like a plan.
It's not advertising, doesn't it? Well, that's hence our statement that we're not moving forward
Right.
unless we get the
Oh,
irrigation
100%, I
Yeah.
get that. I just think
Yeah, let's
We'll
not
try to
lose
figure
what's
out-
there.
there should be some way to repair what we have, at least to have it function.
There isn't the faucet on the outside of the building isn't working?
No, that's what we would do.
Let's double check that just to make
We'll double
sure.
check that and the one down below at where the split fence is, to the lower
Uh-huh.
part. There's irrigation of some sort, or it exists, but I don't know if it's working. So we have to get in touch with DPW to talk about that.
Because if one of those spigots is working, then you could always run a hose across.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting back to, any more
Yeah.
questions or comments? All right.
So you have a motion?
We
to-
have a motion to approve
The
Paul's
fence,
plan of the addition of the fence, the lavender, and the tree.
okay.
Any comments, questions? Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. All those who approve?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. The plan has been approved, sir.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul, so much.
Thank you, yes. And the good news is, since it's not in the historic district, we don't have to go before them.
It's gonna look nice.
Any other questions on any other old business? All right, let's move to new business. I have one thing listed here so far. Building planning meeting that was discussed at the select board's meeting. I have not, as of yet, heard any proposed time. I will be contacting them about that, see where they are in the planning of that. And then under other new business that's not listed here, as you may be aware, Sandy has not been renewed to be on the board at the end of this term. So we have a vacancy there. And Deborah Miller has resigned effective immediately from the board, which puts us into a situation where at the end of June, we will not have a quorum and not be able to meet. This is not a good situation.
Do the members have to be voted on by the public, by the townspeople?
No,
Board of
but
Selectmen.
they're
No.
appointed.
Oh, just appointed.
They're appointed.
And renewed or not at their will.
If we know anyone who has expressed interest in being on the board, we'd love to talk to them.
You mean the commission?
The commission, rather. We'd love to talk to them and possibly suggest that they apply. But in the meantime, all work is going to have to stop. There'll be nothing that can move forward until we have a quorum. State law, I looked at the state regulations on historic commissions, and the regulations state that it is a board of 5 members with a quorum of 3. So legally, we cannot meet if we do not have 3 members. I have expressed interest to our liaison, Don Howell, about this. He is fully aware and has intended to make the other select board members aware of the situation. So, once again, if you know someone who is interested in being on the commission, we do need to talk to them about what it requires, and if they are still interested, then they need to apply. Anybody have any comments? No? Okay.
Have you put out the word to people so they know positions are open?
Deb resigned as of yesterday, so this is the first putting out of it. Not good. It's not a good situation.
What is the best way to publicize it?
Well, it should be on the town website, word of mouth. Yes, ma'am.
Select board public comment
Select
section?
board, public comment, yes. So I assume I will be going to the next select board meeting and mentioning it there, because that is televised also, yes.
Would it be appropriate to put an article, just a sort of informational article about what you do, and in the article say, we need 3 people to volunteer or something like that, just to give it some.
That is a thought. That is definitely a thought.
Plus, the Historical Society would be filled with people who are interested in preserving history.
This is true, however, it's been recommended that there is a separation between the Historic Society and the Brooks Academy Historic Commission. Just don't want it to get too close. No other comments,
I think
concerns? Yes.
I really do think an article showing what you've been doing and a positive article about that and make it sound like a really great thing to participate.
Well, and anyone is free to, on their own, discuss it and
Yeah, sure.
write an editorial or whatever they wish.
Well, I think the timing with what's going on in the Brooks Academy structure itself demonstrates the importance of
Yes.
filling the spot.
Yes.
And maybe it would enhance the excitement about serving on the committee because of the ability to get involved with the preservation of that building and the funding of it and so forth. So
I agree. I
I
agree.
think I'd emphasize the critical issues that the commission is facing and the need to
And
be
which
a
brings
participant.
yeah, and which brings up the point too that if a town meeting does happen this fall, that we need support to get funds to continue the work on the building, because the longer it takes to get the needed funds to complete what needs to be done for occupancy and preservation of the building, more deterioration can happen. The first discussion of, for example, a foundation was back in 1985. The first approval of acquiring the needed plans in town meeting was 1995, and nothing was done until 2020. We don't want to be in another situation like that.
You know,
Yes.
Paul, you are so respected and well-known in town. Is there any way you would consider writing a letter to the editor stating what you just stated, that we're at a pivotal moment?
Well, I'd be happy to do that. I was thinking of going home and asking my wife instead. But my problem is, since I deal with the commission, I kind of have to maintain an arm's length there. I don't want to sort of undue influence, but I'll do what I can.
I think to have a letter writing group that put letters to the editor about the timeliness of it, how important it is right now. We're at a politically really sensitive area, and we need to rally the troops and get people to carry it forward.
It could come from the garden club too.
Well, any help
That would
that
be,
we can get.
yeah, anybody can write.
Yeah, anybody can write. The more people are aware, the better the chances are that things will proceed. Yes.
Because I know that the machines don't pick up from back here.
Can you speak up also?
Sure. Linda Sabula, just saying that that's why it's so critical to have this small steering group that is supposed to happen, having the tenant in, the Harwich Historical Society, Brooks Academy Museum Commission representatives, and a couple of select board members, DPW, to actually put together the plan for what we are going to do to that building and get a comprehensive plan and a little steering committee to make sure this stuff is happening, because none of that happened with the foundation project.
Right.
So I think that pushing to get that meeting organized is pretty critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just a comment.
Yes.
I don't think it's fair to say, excuse me, that none of that happened with the foundation project. I know that David Spitz worked very closely with the town administrator, with Sean Libby, and kept this commission informed every step of the way. Were there mistakes made? Obviously, a couple. Were there ways to approach it that might have been better in hindsight? It was the feeling of this commission at the time that it was better to take this project in small pieces rather than overburden the town with the debt all at once when we were in the middle of wastewater funding. And would it have been better to take it as a whole? Yeah, hindsight being 20/20, perhaps it would have been. But I don't think we would have gotten the support had we done that. So I
And
just want that
possibility.
clear and on the record, that there was no lack of communication involved in this at all.
With you, but the Historic Society really wasn't kept in the mode. I mean, for example, it was a complete surprise that in order to put in a Luan lift, that they have to dig up the basement that they just put in.
Well, that was a surprise to everybody,
That was a
Linda.
surprise, so.
That was a surprise to
That's what
everybody.
I mean. In general, I think there was not enough information. There were decisions made that didn't get carried through to everyone. And we all ended up with different information. So I think that a steering committee, including the tenants, I think would help the issue, because I think
Clearly.
Mr. Spitz worked very hard at this. And I think that he ended up with information sometimes that was in conflict, because he was getting a piece here, a piece. And I think that it was not well done from the town side.
I think the steering committee is a good idea, and it should happen. And I won't get into a lengthy debate about the whys and the wherefores, but I think there was plenty of communication. The idea that the Lula would have to entail further ripping apart the basement. I think that came more from the architect than anybody, and bad advice from that direction. He did a huge job for us and
Yes,
for
he
this
did.
town.
He did an incredibly big job.
So
I'm
I don't
just
think
saying
it should
that
be a question of going back and trying to assign blame.
nobody's, I
but
don't think
the-
anybody's doing that, Sandy. I'm just saying that from the perspective of the Historic Society, the tenant, we were left out of most of these conversations. And so I'm hoping that doesn't happen again.
Well, let's just move this along at this point. Thank you for your comments. One final thing, I think we do owe a huge debt of gratitude and thanks to David Spitz for even getting things started. It's because of him that the work
Absolutely.
was started. So we do need to continue it now. Any other final comments? Yes, ma'am.
I'll try to speak up. Following along with what Linda said.
Come up.
Diane DeGennaro, following along with what Linda said, we're all in agreement that a steering committee is necessary.
Yes.
But I'm wondering who takes the initiative to call the meeting and invite all the stakeholders?
It was stated at the Select Board meeting when this came up that they were going to be looking at calendars to see when everyone was available and sending the word out. That has not yet happened, so I will be contacting them to find out where we are in that process.
That would be helpful because it could get lost in the
Yeah, I have no intention of letting
committee
it get
feel of
lost.
things. Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Any final comments? No? I have a motion to adjourn.
Do you have a date for our next meeting?
Oh. Let us shoot for a meeting in June to see where we are in this, and also before your term expires. How are we for
The third week, maybe?
June 26th? Or is there another day in that final week in June?
Right now, I have everything open in June.
What about you?
I'm fine.
All right, let's shoot for June 26th.
$10
Yep,
here?
yep. All right. I will get everything set for that.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All approved? All in favor, rather?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much.